welcome back to the Garden with Joe and Holly radio show. Happy you've been with us today. It's time for Garden Questions and Answers. You got a question, we've got an answer for you. You can send that over via gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Or if you'd like to give us a call, you can certainly do that as well by dialing us up toll free coast to coast at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. And a number of questions come in. We're going to see what we can get through to the top of the hour, Holly.
So this question is sponsored by Fleet Farm and fleetfarm.com. How many feet is suggested between raised beds? So how far apart should I space them?
Well, if you have plenty of space for your raised beds, 3 foot is recommended because it will allow you to be able to mow, preferably probably with a push mower, 4 foot if you are wanting to use a riding mower, and that 3 foot plus will give you the accessibility to get wheelbarrows and wagons and carts down through the raised beds. If you are limited on space and you don't see the need of a wheelbarrow being a necessity in order to fill or maintain the beds, 2 foot will work, but it does get quite cramped in the backyard when you're trying to walk around the raised beds.
Right, absolutely. So you want to think about how you maintain your yard also. So that's something to keep in mind.
As much as it may hurt to lose a raised bed area, that extra foot per space between raised beds, if you got 5 or 6 or 7 raised beds, makes a very, very big difference in the less of hassle in which it takes to maintain around the beds.
Right. And then the follow-up question that is, how important is it to level the beds when you set them up? It's
not that important at all. If you're growing in the ground and the ground is slightly tilted or slanted towards the east or the west, you're not going to fix that. If you feel that the aesthetics of the beds need to be somewhat level, then you can jack the corner up and maneuver the means around in order to get the beds at a level height. But it makes no difference. The plants will grow whether the beds are level or not. The plants will grow whether you get them in a straight row or not. So it doesn't make a difference. I know that there are certain cultures where they carve out certain areas along the side of hills or mountains, and they grow that way, stair-step it up the cliff. But for your backyard, front yard, if it's 2 inches higher on one end versus 1 inch lower on the other, it's not going to make a difference. Only if it bothers you. If it bothers you, then you probably should fix it because it's going to bother you for the rest of the time that you have those raised beds on your property. All right. I am using grow bags for my potatoes. Do I need to put wood or bricks under them, or when I place them on the in the backyard, or a pallet, or can I just put them right on the ground?
You can put them just right on the ground. That's not a problem.
Okay.
You if you want to put them on bricks or wood or a pallet or some sort of support underneath, you certainly can. But we've grown plenty of things in grow bags just on the ground. Right.
Now, we don't care about our grass. If you care about your grass, then you would want to elevate them on a pallet or some type of shelving unit in which would elevate them, because when you put them on the ground and you grow in them 60 gallon, 30 gallon, 15, 10, 8 for the entire season, that grass is pretty much not coming back because you have killed that grass in its entirety. You've got spots there.
Yeah, but if you put put bricks down, the bricks are going to kill the grass.
Right. Yeah, but I guess so. So you don't, and I mean, this person didn't indicate whether they were concerned about the grass or not, but you can put them right on the ground. That's not going to hurt anything whatsoever. Is it possible to grow a pumpkin in a container? We've done this.
We have done this.
Now, it wasn't your state fair winning 600-pound pumpkin. I think it was like a 2-pound pumpkin, Cinderella pumpkin, I think is what it was. This was like 8-9 years ago. We grew it in a 15-gallon plastic mimicking a terracotta pot. And in order to do that, I mean, pumpkins need a lot of water. So in a means of experimental process, as the pumpkin grew, I believe it was that or the zucchini, we took sand and put about 1 inch of sand around the top as a mulch. And the reason why we did that was when you go to the beach and you look at the sand is dry. When you move it back, the top few half inch or so or inch of sand at the beach, what is it? It's wet. The sand retains moisture. It may not be something you can grow in, but it's something that you can use as a mulch to hold the moisture from wicking out of the soil. And it worked, and we got like a 2-pound pumpkin. I think we've got it on video somewhere on our parent YouTube channel, the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. And if you go to our parent website, the wisconsinvegetablegardener.com, and in the search bar, put in pumpkins in containers, I think that'll come up. But yeah, it will work. You can do it much better than what we did. You can use a grow bag from Root Maker, a 60-gallon grow bag, and put one plant in it. And now a pumpkin. Now keep this in mind. Pumpkins, watermelons, any of those very viney crops, they can take in upwards of 30 to 50 square feet to grow just a couple of pumpkins, just a couple of fruit. So it's not something that is going, I can just keep it in this corner of the yard. Holly, your sister, we grew Jardel pumpkins and spaghetti squash and butternut squash many years ago in her backyard, and she didn't have a backyard for most of the season because it kept encroaching throughout the yard, and it was about 70 square feet that was used up just for those plants. So it can be done, but anything, you just think about the end product. What's the end product?
The pumpkin.
No, I mean the how much space that in, because people will often plant tomatoes or peppers real close because we'll just plant them 6 inches apart. They grow, so you need to plant them 2 to 3 foot apart. So at the final time, they are growing slightly together in a hedge, and they're not competing with each other because they're too close.
Right, but what I'm saying is that you want the pumpkin, but also when they do vine out like that, they kind of root down a little bit.
Yeah, they do have feeder roots on the plant. Okay,
so you can't just like necessarily shift the roots
because you're going to uproot or disturb or damage. And these are very sensitive vines to begin with.
Right.
I mean, you look at them wrong and they crack on you. So let's see, I do not want to have leggy seedlings again like I did last year. How do I prevent that from happening? First of all, what is a leggy plant, leggy seedling, Holly?
It's a plant that's grown very tall but with few leaves.
Okay.
So you'll often see this when you have seedlings and maybe they don't have access to enough light that's close to them. That's typically the reason why, but sometimes some plants are just naturally leggy. Well,
Happy Leaf LED grow lights, use coupon code Joey Holly to save 10% on orders over $90. They are American-made light that provides ample and excessive over amount of light required for the plant, so you don't have that problem. So proper amount of light, proper amount of water, and if you are using a heat mat in order to warm the soil to get them to germinate, when they germinate, Holly, you got to pull that heat mat off. Otherwise, that can contribute to legginess. Now, there are plants, such as brassicas, that naturally have the tendency to be more leggy than tomatoes or eggplants or peppers. So keep that in mind. Just because it may look leggy, that might be some of the characteristics of Brussels sprouts or kale or cabbage. So you just kind of have to work with that in the means that you have for that. So it can happen for just plants to be leggy to begin with. Okay.
All right. So this person is seeking suggestions for low acid cherry tomato variety.
Okay. Typically, the rule of thumb is if you want a less acidic or acid tomato, cherry or beefsteak, you want to go with a non-red variety. They typically, all tomatoes are going to have some level of acidity. But if you go with a non-red one, that's going to give you a little less acidity. So here's some suggestions here.
Yep. So you can get varieties such as Ace. There's like an Ace 55 variety, Amish Paste, Big Girl, Fireball, San Marzano. Those are all low acid selections. As far as the cherry tomato variety, there's not really a low acid cherry tomato. Right. Yeah. So
less acid, but not low acid.
Right.
Yeah.
So those are varieties that you want to look at to grow for low acid. For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.